Interviews with business owners and veteran executives who share their wisdom and expertise to help you de-stress, free up time, and make more money. Profits of IT. Welcome back to the Profits of IT. I am Jim Punzenberger, your host and the creator of the Managed Prospecting System. If you're looking to generate new partners or new clients, be sure to check out managedprospectingsystem.com. I'm super excited today to have Tim Coach with me. Tim Coach is an MSP, known as an MSP fixer and coach. The last name Coach goes very well with him. He's been a part of fixing 5 MSPs. He is a processes guy. His forte comes from with processes, goes back to his background in the military. And thank you, by the way, Tim, for serving us in the military. Everybody, Tim Coach. Tim, please tell us a quick bit about the company you work for, Gradient.
Yeah, thank you, Jim. So my name is Tim Coach, and I am with Gradient MSP. So to Jim's point, I've spent about the last, a decade or so going from company to company, helping to fix them from an operational excellence process. I decided to jump over to this side and work for Gradient MSP because Gradient MSP is focused on the issues the MSP is having. So particularly what we're working on right now is trying to fix the billing reconciliation issue, right? Are you getting paid for everything that you're providing services for? And are you only paying for the services you're using? So that's really what Gradient MSP does, is we're looking to make sure that the cash flow in and the cash flow out is correct for the MSP and do that in the most efficient time process as possible, which is the product we currently have called Billable.
Cool. That's definitely a pain that I had when I owned my MSP. So Tim, sounds like you've been a part of a bunch of MSPs, and I'm guessing that right off the top of your head, you could talk about a few common issues that MSPs have. What is like the number one issue you've seen among MSPs, and how do we, what tips do you have for remedying these problems?
So I will say the remedy for about anything is we go to our standard rules, right? So like Jim, I'm sure when you owned and ran your MSPs, right, it's the 90-10 rule, or 95-10 or 85-15, however you want to do it, right? But you standardize 85, 90, 95% of it, and then you only manage really the exceptions to the rule, right? So common problems that I definitely see and have seen over the years with the companies I've either worked for or I've consulted with is really process based around taking it from step A to step, we'll call it K, or maybe O, whatever that process is, right? But it's the handoff and understanding where those handoffs are in the processes. And then honestly, one of the things that we've seen the last couple of years, I know that's kind of making its way out now, is the reference, the buzz term, a single pane of glass. Right, I got to give somebody a single pane of glass to do this. Well, the single pane of glass is nice, but the real thing that's nice is easy visual reporting to know where you, as an executive, need to focus your time versus the noise that you have to look at because there's nothing there for you to see visually where your focus needs to be.
Got it. And so that I'm assuming that basically if we got these standard rules, 90 to 95% of things as an executive shouldn't need your attention. It just be the what does the rule say? Do that. Is that?
I always approached it as law enforcement and Congress, right? So I think buy-in is huge, specifically from your staff, right? So anytime a process or procedure is created, it's like, great, let's talk to everybody that's being affected by this. Let's get their input in it. And then what happens is as you're creating that process or procedure, you have everybody's input because they have ownership in it, right? So they essentially have become Congress. They're like making the laws around how the business is going to run. Then what happens is the executives, the managers, the people who are quote unquote in charge, right? They become law enforcement. So when something isn't followed, hopefully that's a rarity. And then you can just go to them and say, hey, this is what we talked about. And it becomes a very easy process to keep it to the standard versus the exception.
Got it. So if I'm an MSP and I haven't implemented standards, processes, or rules in my business, do you have tips for me on, well, where do I start?
Yeah, the easiest place, you can start with any one of your departments, right? So if we're talking about a non-mature or mature MSP, you still have departments. There's still an owner, there's still ops, there's still sales, right? There's still HR. So you start on day one, right? What's the process? How do we create a ticket, right? How do you create, if you're a salesperson, how do you create the process of tracking a prospect, right? Or a sales lead, right? So it's literally, I find the things that you're doing most of the day, if I'm spending 50% of my time entering tickets every day, that's a great place to start. How do I process that to take that down to 40% or 30 and then move on from there?
And is there best practices on doing this? Like, do you have recommendations on how to actually create these, or we just open up a Word document and start typing, or is there something else we should be doing?
No, that's honestly one of the best ways you can do it is just open up a Word document and start jotting down ideas. How can I create more efficiency in this process? And then get the input from your coworkers, right? Because that's really having that input and starting at that level is at least you're starting. When you fail to start the process, then you're 3 days behind every day that you put it off for another day. So I always think just starting the process best you can and then sharing it with others to get their input, that's how you're going to get the best feedback.
Is there any tips you have on things you should look for or consider in this process?
Yeah, I personally, right, and keep in mind I've been doing this for years. So my go-to is I start with the things that take the most time for any specific department. What takes you the most time? And then how do I process that to get less time, to give me more time back into something else? And then what you do is if you identify, let's say your top 3 time eaters, right? And you attack number 1, then eventually number 1 is going to be like number 7 on the list, right? Now number 2 moves up and then number 4 goes into number 3 spot. So identifying the things that really take the most time in your day-to-day operations will quickly identify where you need to your processes and your procedures quickly and efficiently.
And what else should we know about this?
It's adhering to it and buy-in, right? So as a C-level or a leader, I can create processes and procedures all day long. But if the staff, if the people directly affected by those are not bought into them, if they don't have ownership of that in and of themselves, then they're less likely to follow those, right? So I would say a key is getting everybody involved that's directly affected by the process. And then what you establish is you establish a process that everybody is bought into, they have ownership of. And then what you do is you just help them understand by gently nudging left or right. Hey, remember, this is what we talked about. We got to do this, become more efficient here. And then eventually what you see is as you're bringing new people on, you see your current staff saying, okay, this is how we do this process to help this piece of the business. And it just becomes a really nice workflow.
So what question am I not asking about processes that I should be asking?
I think the biggest question about processes is where do you put them in? And the honest answer is everywhere and anywhere. You should have a process for anything and everything you do. That doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter what level you're at. If you're an owner, right, and you're trying to, let's say you're still doing technical work, right? But you still got to work on your business, but you still got to do sales. You still got to do some marketing. Well, what processes have you put in for yourself? Even as simply as I'm going to put in a process where I dedicate specific times of my week to work on X, Y, or Z. you've created a process to make you more efficient. Anytime you're just kind of running and gunning, that's going to create latency in your own personal efficiency. So it's not just the operation side, it's not just the sales side, it's across the entire board. If it's a repetitive function that you do on a regular basis, it should have a process and a procedure. Standardize 90% of what you do, manage the exception.
Got it. So any final thoughts on this?
That's just it. I continue to tell people processes and procedures will continually to make your life a lot easier. Finding products that help that is great. That's one of the things that Gradient does. It's taken the step-by-step process and turned it into a visual process, identifying where you need to look, right? To see, if you're getting paid or what you're paying. And then the constant research of products and solutions that are out there to help you become more efficient.
Makes sense. So is there any specific type of MSP that should be your partner, and why should they be your partner?
That is a great question. So right now, the way it sets is any MSP that's running a PSA, and we have the majority of the PSA tools out there, so we'll do it. They should all be integrating with the product. And the reason why is it provides a very visual review and approve process before it ever goes to your accounting package. So it doesn't matter if you're a $500,000 MSP or a $50 million MSP. You should always have a review and approve process before your accounting package. So everybody integrating this is huge because it's going to save the time, which is so important, that it puts that time back in your product to reinvest. And it's also going to show you really financially, right, on both sides, cash in and cash out, where your money's going. So it will quite literally put money back into your business.
Got it. And somebody wanted to get a hold of you, Tim. What's the best way of getting a hold of you?
So the best way to get a hold of me is tim.coach@meetgradient.com. That's my email address. Obviously, our website is meetgradient.com. Come over and see us. If you have any questions, reach out on LinkedIn. You can't miss me. I got stuff all over the place. But yeah, let's have a conversation. The whole point of what Gradient is doing right now is to make your lives easier as an MSP and to put time and money back into your product and into your life, right? Not your product, but your life. Allow you to reinvest that either A, into your business, or B, maybe your personal life. Maybe you catch that kid's ball game you haven't been able to catch in a minute because you're too busy working on your business.
Got it. Well, Tim, thank you for your time here today and sharing your great wisdom. I think the viewers will see great value in it.
Jim, thanks for having me. We appreciate it. And as always, I appreciate so much you having us on and what you do. We talked about it earlier, and in the end, we're all trying to help the world be a better place. We do it through our own specific way. And I think as long as we continue to do that, we're going to be doing the right thing by everybody around us.
Sounds like my philosophy also. So have a great rest of your day. And until next time on the Profits of IT, I am Jim Punzenberger, your host and the creator of the Managed Prospecting System. Be sure to check out managedprospectingsystem.com.
Thank you for tuning in to the Profits of IT. Please smash that like button, subscribe, and share.